What's up? J Street Moto here. Welcome back to the channel. Cheers. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. Today, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, share with your friends. If you haven't, I have the hiccups and I'm sorry. I'm going to keep recording and hopefully it works out. Maybe some of this will help. We'll see. So if you've been following the channel at all, you know that we are getting ready to leave for Nova Scotia. And so I thought, we're talking ergonomics on a motorcycle, basically. Specifically, we're talking ergonomics on a Harley Davidson Touring bike. Now, I know this is a Road King special. It is not a street glide. It's not a road glide. I get that. I completely understand that. It's the touring bike I choose because I prefer not having all that weight on the front end of the bike. So, for me, this is what I choose to tour on. And I wanted to talk about the ergonomics of this bike and how you and the things you can change that will impact the way you feel about how you're riding. Today we're going to talk about hand position, specifically installing, well, I'm going to review those 14-inch KST Custom bars that I have, whether the KST Custom Renegades 14-inch version that I have on this bike. That's what we're going to talk about today. First off, let's talk about height. Because here's the deal, guys, and I'm not gonna, I love my KST Custom Renegades. I love them. I love those bars. A buddy of mine, a really, really good friend of mine, gave them to me, actually, when he changed his bars. He shipped them to me. All I had to do was get them powder coated and install them on the bike, and I did that, and they are fan-freaking-tastic. They are perfect for me. But I got lucky. And what I mean by that is, when you're thinking about putting bars on a motorcycle, you've got several options of the bars and all that stuff, but the first thing you need to think about is the height. And the reason I mention that is there are a lot of states out there. North Carolina is one of them. South Dakota, if you plan to ride to Sturgis, that's definitely one of them. Those are places where it's against the law for you to have handlebars that put your hands in a position that is above your shoulder. There are a lot of states out there that have that law, and that results in a lot of motorcyclists getting pulled over and getting tickets for something that's complete and utter bullshit, in my opinion. But, the reality is they don't want your hands above your shoulders. So, and from a practical perspective, what I can tell you is this. Hand, arm, and neck. And when I say neck, what I really mean is this part of your body right here. That really fucking hurts on me when I'm riding for long distances without having the right size bar, I guess is a good way to put it. And even having the right size bar, that thing still hurts, but it takes a couple of hours for it to set in. And if I stop after that couple of hours and spend like 30 minutes off the bike, I get back on, I've got another 2 hours I can ride, and it doesn't bother me. So that's kind of what we're talking about right now. So for me, these bars are 14-inch. And when I say they're 14-inch, they're 14-inch measured to the top of the bar. And these are meat hooks. So they have, I said that we've got several different versions of these taller bars that we can talk about. The ones I have on this bike, they're meat hooks. And because of that, they actually ride more like 12s. They act more like 12s than they do like 14s. So I did not have to extend my clutch cable. I did not have to extend my brake cable. I was able to route them with enough clearance without having to extend them. I did have to extend the electrical harness, and that's a given. If you go above 12 inches, you're going to have to extend that electrical harness. It's unavoidable. Now, what I will say is this too about installing bars. I personally think it is easier to install bars on a Street Glide or Road Glide than it is on a Road King. And the reason I say that is because to install these bars on a Road King, you have to remove this. And that thing is not as easy to remove as you think it is. There are a couple of screws under this locking ring, but then there's one little bolt that's way underneath here. So you have to take the whole nacelle off, the headlight, all that stuff, get underneath there, blindly undo this little guy right here so that you can take that cover off and access the place where the handlebars mount to the bike, is the best way to put it. On a Street Glide, all you have to do is take off the outer shell for the front fairing, move the front fairing down, and take off the inside dashboard, and you've got access to everything you need to be able to put those bars on. So for me, a Street Glide was easier. Road Glide, I can imagine, is about the same ease. I haven't done a Road Glide, honestly. To be perfectly candid and straightforward, I have not done a Road Glide yet. All I've done is a Road King and a Street Glide, and what I can tell you is the Street Glide's easier. The Road King is a little bit of a pain in the ass because there's a lot of crap you got to take off in order to be able to access what you got to get to change the bars. Cheers, by the way. I love these bars. I love the way they ride. I had them powder coated. I brought them home. I ripped the nacelle off the bike and got that top off, and I put them on and I wired them myself. And what I can tell you is, if you go with these bars, so anytime you're looking at handlebars, let's talk about the varieties that exist. Anytime you're looking at bars, there are ape hangers that are gradual, meaning this right here is kind of flat and just a curve instead of sweeping up and sweeping back down. That's what I mean by that. You also have meat hooks, which is what these are. Means it sweeps one direction before it goes the other direction. And then you have T-bars, which I really dig. I really like the idea of a T-bar. I just haven't put them on my own bike. And one of the reasons I haven't done it is because some of the other stuff I have on the bike, I don't know that I can get it to work. But T-bars are different. T-bars come up from the mounting bracket, straight up with vertical stanchions. And then they have a handlebar that goes across them, so you can set the height and set the pull back and set all that stuff a little more independently. Have a little more control over it, I guess would be a good word to put. I think the next time that I do something with the bars on any motorcycle I have, I'm going with T-bars. Most likely I'm going to go with Thrashion's setup because I like their setup the best out of all the ones that I've seen so far. But yeah, so those are the kinds of bars you can get. Let's talk about wiring for a minute. So I installed these bars, and what I mean by that is I took off the old bars, I ripped out all the electricals, because the reality is, on this side of the bike, you've got one cable pack you got to pull through. On this side of the bike, you have two. One of them is for all the shit that's in here. The other one is for your throttle by wire. And you've got to be able to get those through there. Now, in this case, this set of bars, I tried for hours and hours and hours to get this side run and was unsuccessful. To the point where I actually took the bars with this side's electronics to a dealership and had the guy that did their bars run the wires for me. What that guy told me when I came back, they said it would be about an hour. It ended up being about 2 hours. And what that guy told me when he came out was just charge him an hour, because those were quite possibly, certainly in the top 5 hardest bars I've ever had to run wires through. And one of the reasons for that is you have this massive sweep up here and then a hard 90-degree turn down there at the bottom. And it was pinching stuff as you're trying to pull it to get it around that corner at the bottom. So I gave up on them. Now, when we did David's bike, David has LA choppers that are 12 inches, and I don't know which one he has, the specific bar he has. But those wires went through easy. And the only difference was he had a sharp turn at the top, and it was a curve at the bottom. But they went through easy. I mean, we put his bars on in about an hour and a half, which is ridiculous. Juan is currently looking at putting bars on his bike, and we'll be wiring it and doing an installation video of that probably before we go to Nova Scotia, because Juan is looking at doing it like now. I'll let you know how Juan's bars go, because I don't know what he's going to buy yet. I don't know what he's picking. But bars are something that are a very individual choice. Some of us pick them because of aesthetics. Some of us pick them for function only. Some of us pick them for both function and aesthetics, so form and function. I put these on because they were given to me for free, and I knew that my old bars, or the stock bars, weren't what I needed to be riding on. And one of the reasons, so some of the indications that you would have that would tell you, you know what, maybe I need some higher handlebars. Significant pain in your wrist, your hands going numb, pain in your neck or your back. All those things are attributed to where your hands sit while you're riding when you're in that position for a very long time. And for me, these bars fixed a lot of those problems. So I love them, and I wouldn't go any other direction. But that doesn't mean they're right for you. So if you're watching this video because you're looking at getting KST products, I highly recommend them. Their shit's good. It's really good. I like the way it looks. I like the way it performs. I've never had any issues with it. I've been riding these bars for about 2 years now, and I've had no issues with them. But they're not your only option, is my point. And you need to, when it comes to handlebars, just like seats, when it comes to handlebars and seats, you've got to pick what works for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to ride. You're the one that's got to get out there and do 700 miles, 800 miles, whatever, in a day. You're the one that has to do that. Not your buddies, not your friends. They don't have to do it. You've got to do it. Whatever you can do to make that more comfortable and make you want to do it, that's what I say is the right bar for you. If you're having problems with your hands, if you're having problems with your neck, if those things are keeping you from being able to ride longer distances or the distances you want to ride, I suggest changing your bars. And I don't care what you get. You can get ape hangers that are a little higher up. You can get a T-bar that's a little higher up. The common denominator here is you've got to get your hands higher. The reason your hands go into sleep, the reason your wrists are having fatigue, the reason your neck is hurting is because your hands are too low and you're pushing. You're literally putting weight on your hands the whole time you ride. And if you get your hands higher, you're now no longer putting weight on those hands. They're just kind of sitting there. And as long as they're about the same height as your heart, they won't go numb because your heart's able to get blood to them just fine. I suggest going to a dealer that has a decent used inventory and looking at different motorcycles that have different kinds of bars and asking to test ride them just so that you can feel the difference between the different kinds of bars, and then you can make your choice. The only other thing you can change on your motorcycle from an ergonomics perspective that will change how it feels when you ride, and we talked about it earlier, is foot position. That's where highway pegs come in. I highly recommend having them. Whether you have the ones that sit on your engine guard like I do, or whether you have the ones that attach underneath your floorboard and stick out. You need another place to be able to put your foot. And when I'm riding this bike, I have, I'll show you, on each side, I have one position, two positions, three positions, four position, 5, 6, and then if my passenger peg is down, 7. So I have several different, I've got seven different places I can put my foot when I'm riding on one side. That means I've got 7 on the other side too. When you combine those, that's a lot of positions, because I will ride like this with one foot in this position and one foot up on the thing. I will ride the opposite like that. You see what I'm getting at? You get almost an infinite level of places that you can put your feet in order to try and relieve some pressure off your booty. I just wanted to talk to you all about handlebars and being comfortable when you ride, because I'd love to see you, I'd love to run into you guys out on the road when we're taking one of our long trips. I really would. I'd love to run into you someplace and buy you a drink. I really would. Come up and see me if you see me. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, share with your friends. All that stuff helps the channel. We're over 343 subscribers right now, which is just insane. And I thank every single one of you for that. And yeah, so I'm going to close it out now. Always ride safe.
Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot. Ah. Asshole.